Stephanie.
Yes.
So Stephanie's husband caught COVID when he was in Idaho, if anybody remembers the story of the National Brotherhood of Black Skiers. So actually Mark was kind of early in the process, because when he was sick, that was literally, I think it was the next week that people started social distancing, making gatherings smaller. So I wanted Stephanie to come on and talk about advocacy, because they did not want to give Mark a test. And then to talk about caring for someone who has COVID and what you learned in terms of working with the immune system and trying to keep him healthy so that his body could fight this virus.
Right. In a way, I really struggled saying this for quite some time, but getting it early was actually better because the system was not overloaded. Mm-hmm. There were obviously fewer protocols, but the good thing is once I got him to the hospital, which was in the course of one day, the third stop, we went to urgent care to get a chest x-ray per the direction of primary care, and they said, we don't have any tests. I said, that's impossible. They sent me here to get tested. They said, we don't have any. You have to go to the ER. And by this point, my poor husband has a fever of about 102. He can barely walk. He feels terrible. He isn't really coughing ferociously, but he is coughing a little bit. So we drive to the ER, we get there, and we walk right in. They put him into isolation. They take me and put me in a separate room. By this point, we are both masked because the assumption is that we both could have something. It could be community-acquired pneumonia or not. But the thing that really struck me about all of this is I had a very strange feeling that whatever he had was very, very serious, because his decline was so precipitous. Literally, before my very eyes, I saw him fading in the course of the day. We got back on Friday the 6th, or the early morning of the 7th, from Idaho. I don't know if some of you saw the story on Tuesday, Diane Sawyer. You saw how I was begging for him to get tested there. A lot of people unfortunately got hit in Sun Valley, Idaho at the Brotherhood's event. And we landed early Saturday morning. By Monday morning, he said something is wrong. And it was very, very clear. That's when I started calling. That's when I got nowhere. And it was because of the lack of the protocol. There was no way that the ER, urgent care, Broward County Health Department, there was no coordination, and it was literally me trying to figure it out. The one thing that I did do, and I think this is very important, I tracked all of his symptoms so that I could present a picture. And I was able to say to the ER doctor, once they decided that he was obviously more serious than I, because they still had to evaluate me, I was able to say to the ER doctor, look, here's why he needs to be tested. He is, while healthy and active, he still is hypertensive, he has high cholesterol, and this is not who he is. And so he started the whole Wuhan and that thing and whatnot. And I said, look, Dr. Testing Tightwad, this is why this needs to happen. I said, I was on 4 airplanes 6 days ago. Do you know where all those people were? Atlanta's one of the biggest airports in the world. And we had been everywhere. Do you know where all those people were? He kind of stammered and he said, well, the CDC. And I said, I get it. You're doing your job, but here's my job. I'm not leaving until I get tested. My husband gets tested. And here's why. We don't know what we're dealing with. And by that point, we had no strokes occurring. We had no cytokine storm. We didn't have nearly what we have now. We basically just knew that it was very serious, and a lot of people in, at that point, Italy and China and Iran had died. That's all we knew. So I told the doctor, and I went back a few years with my pharma training and said, look, I worked in pharma. I sold an injectable antibiotic. You can treat people empirically, but at the end of the day, you still have to test them. He said, we're going to treat him like he has bacterial pneumonia. I said, I don't have a problem with that, but you've got to test him to know what we're dealing with. And here's why. We don't know what is going on. If we know, we're dealing with more knowns than unknowns. So fortunately, we got him tested, and that's when the fun began. Because guess what? Nothing has changed with me in this entire period. So I'm calling the epidemiologist saying, what should I do? Am I going to get this? How do I not get it? She said, ma'am, protect your immune system, take care of your husband, and just do everything the doctor says. So that's the conventional route. The conventional route was taking the antibiotics, take all of them, because if you don't, resistance patterns happen and bad things happen. So take all of your antibiotics, take the Tylenol, drink the liquids, do everything you're supposed to do. Also, make sure you check for adverse reactions. There was a medication for the call called benzonatate, and it clearly states that it gave headaches. Well, guess what? Another issue with COVID are these headaches. So I had to communicate, well, I don't know where the headache is coming from. So they said, discontinue the benzonatate for a couple of days and see what happens. Headache never went away. So it was not the benzonatate. So don't leave the hospital without having all the package insert information, all of your details, everybody's name that you've spoken with, have it all assembled so that if you have to go somewhere else or back to the ER, you can say, hey, Dr. Testing Tidewat told me, blah, 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 blah. And I know that this happened and that happened and he's on these medications. So you're armed with all of your information. So when it came time to figure out the caregiving, I called Dr. Jyoti Rao in Maryland in Ellicott City, and she's a big proponent of getting your immune system revved up. And she explained this, the only way we could fight this was keeping Mark strong. By this point, poor appetite, very bad coughing, fever, headache, chills, and just not a happy camper. And she explained vitamin C, vitamin D, probiotics, transfer factors, and glutathione were the 5 magic bullets. So we started with those. I had to wait until he was strong enough to ride with me.
Stephanie, I'm going to just stop you because that sounded like Greek to me. I got the vitamin C and I got the vitamin D, and then you lost me. Am I the only person who got lost?
Okay, I'll step you through it. I was going to back up.
Vitamin D. So maybe if you could give us a little explanation.
Sure.
Or maybe I'm the only one who needs
No. I was going to do that anyway. So we all know about vitamin C. It's better to get it from foods, but if you're trying to get 15,000 international units, you have to do some supplements. But you really need to eat oranges, cantaloupe, vitamin C rich foods. And our goal was 10 servings of organic fruits and vegetables every day, which is a lot. It sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. It's pretty much a big smoothie, a big salad, a big bowl of cooked vegetables 4 times a day. And we should be doing that anyway. So we just made it a habit. We did a lot of smoothies. And again, I'm forcing Mark to eat. He's not really hungry. So that's how we got a lot of the vitamins in. So vitamin D, we know about African Americans because of our skin and possibly some other physiological issues. We don't absorb it as well, and that's really important to the immune system. There's been a lot of articles about that, so that's a big one. Glutathione is basically the new, as they say, very, very, very potent antioxidant. It is okay to take it orally, but it is best absorbed IM. So twice a week, we give each other a shot in the good old glutes. And it's very, very important relative to your immune system. The seat of your immune system is in your gut. The gut is where you have all of your microbiome, all of the protective factors regarding your immune system. They reside in the gut. The best thing you can do, probiotics. That gives you your balance of good and bad bacteria. And any other questions? Did I see any here? Nope, they're not. So those are the main ones that we want to get into our body. We have an alkaline water dispenser, so we drank a lot of hot water and lemon. Lemon is very, very, very important to the immune system. And so it was a really delicate dance of just getting him stronger. And it took a good 3 weeks. And Dr. Neptune was wonderful. We spoke a number of times because in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, what's going to happen to me? And everybody's already said, you can't get sick, ma'am. You can't get sick. So I followed the directions and a lot of immune boosting thoughts. I'm not really as energetic as I am. I'm not really crazy in the morning, but I would run in the morning and say, how's my sugar pop today? Because the caregiver cannot have their lip poked out. You can't. If he looked at me and I'm looking sad, worried, frantic, what is that sending him as a message and as an energy? And I'm a big energy person, and I used every bit of energy I could to just heal him and make him understand that we were going to get through it no matter what. And that was super, super important for me. And all the time I'm posting on Facebook, getting tons of support, people saying, hey, look, you just want me to drive by and drop off groceries. And Michelle, who's on the call, she makes wonderful soups. Those saved us because that was pretty much all he could eat for a while. And she did some toilet paper runs. I'm not like Lotus. I didn't have all that toilet paper.
So, Stephanie, thank you for sharing all that you did